Welcome to Engineering Mechanics video lecture. In this video lecture, I am trying to explain you about resolution of force into two components. Let we consider a force of magnitude F which is acting from origin to outward direction like in this fashion, theta inclination with x-axis. For this inclined force, we have to find horizontal component of the force and also vertical component of the force. Horizontal component of this inclined force of magnitude F is directing along x direction. The vertical component of this same inclined force is directing along y direction. As this force of magnitude F is making theta inclination with x axis, we have to get x directional component is adjacent to theta angle. Y directional component is opposite to theta angle. To estimate adjacent component along x direction, we have to use adjacent trigonometric ratio cos theta into inclined force magnitude F. To estimate y directional component, we have to use sin theta into inclined force magnitude F. The component of force which is directing along x axis represented as Fx. The component of force which is directing along y axis represented as Fy. Fx equal to F into cos theta. This indicates as adjacent component of this inclined force F, adjacent to theta. Fy equal to F into sin theta. This indicates as opposite component of inclined force F to theta. This is the method of resolving an inclined force F into two components. One is adjacent component to theta, another is opposite component to theta. As the inclined force is directing from origin to outward direction, the direction of components, horizontal component direction is also directing from origin to outward direction along x-axis. Vertical component of inclined force is also directing from origin to upward direction along y direction. In this diagrammatic representation, the force of magnitude F which is directing towards the origin. While it is directing towards the origin, it is making theta inclined with x-axis. For this inclined force of magnitude F, we have to find horizontal component and vertical component, x directional component and y directional component of inclined force. X directional component is adjacent to theta, y directional component is opposite to theta. This indicates us direction of x directional component of the force. This indicates us direction of y directional component of this inclined force. Why? Because this inclined force is directing towards origin. Components also directs towards origin. The magnitude of x directional component represented as Fx. The magnitude of y directional component represented as Fy. Fx is adjacent to theta, Fy is opposite to theta. To estimate Fx, we have to follow adjacent trigonometric ratio. To estimate Fy, we have to follow opposite trigonometric ratio. Adjacent trigonometric ratio follows cos theta, opposite trigonometric ratio follows sin theta. To estimate adjacent trigonometric ratio for this theta angle, for this inclined force magnitude F, we have to use cos theta into F. To estimate magnitude of opposite component of this inclined force, we have to use opposite trigonometric ratio into inclined force magnitude F. That indicates as Fy equal to F into sin theta. X directional component Fx equal to F into cos theta. If the force of same magnitude F, which is directing away from the origin, outward direction, when it is making theta angle with y axis, for this case also we have to find x directional component and y directional component for this inclined force. In this case, y directional component is adjacent to theta, x directional component is opposite to theta. To find the y directional component, we have to follow cos theta. To find the x directional component, we have to follow sin theta in this case. X directional component is represented as Fx, y directional component represented as Fy. As this inclined force directing from origin to outward direction, the direction of components also directing origin to outward direction along x axis and along y axis. If the inclined force of magnitude F, when it is directing from origin to outward direction like in this fashion, it is making theta incline with x axis. For this inclined force, we have to find the horizontal component and vertical component of same inclined force. Horizontal component is directing along x axis, vertical component is directing along y axis. X directional component of this inclined force represented as Fx, y directional component of inclined force represented as Fy. X directional component is adjacent to theta, y directional component is opposite to theta. So, to estimate horizontal component or x directional component, we have to follow adjacent trigonometric ratio cos theta. To estimate opposite component Fy, we have to follow sin theta, opposite trigonometric ratio. The inclined force magnitude F and cos theta giving us Fx. Fx equal to F into cos theta. Fy equal to F into sin theta. As this inclined force directing from origin to outward direction, the direction of components also directing from origin to outward direction along x axis, from origin to outward direction along y axis. If the direction of inclined force directing towards the origin, the component's direction also directing towards the origin. For this inclined force of magnitude F, this inclined force is making theta incline with y axis. So, y directional component is adjacent to theta. So, we can estimate this y directional component Fy by following cos theta, F into cos theta. Opposite component to this theta is Fx, Fx equal to F into sin theta. If the direction of inclined force is directing towards the origin, the component's direction also directing towards the origin. when an inclined force of magnitude F, when it is making theta incline with y axis, we have to find the horizontal component and vertical component of this inclined force. Horizontal component is directing along x axis, vertical component is directing along y axis. Horizontal or x directional component represented as Fx, vertical directional component represented as Fy. Fy is adjacent to theta, so that we can estimate that value by following cos theta trigonometric ratio. Fy equal to f into cos theta. As Fx is opposite to theta, we can estimate this value by following sin theta. Fx equal to f into sin theta.